Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Good morning, Dr.
How was your
Abati?
weekend?
It was productive. How are you this morning?
Good.
Good morning, Rufai. Great. Well, congratulations on the Report Her Awards.
Yes.
I mean, it's another win for Arise News. Yes. And congratulations. I heard you talk about inclusivity in Arise News.
Yes.
I mean, I'd love to congratulate all the powerful women in Arise News.
And by the way, earlier on, when we praised Women FM,
yes,
there are other partners. When I checked the certificate, there's the Canadian Embassy, Canada.
Nice.
There's UN Women, and there's also the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism.
Very nice.
So all of these, major bodies participated in giving us this award.
The Report Her Awards.
Yes, congratulations. Oh, the certificate. Touch it.
Oh.
Feel it.
Well, thank you. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In the United Kingdom, U.S. President Joe Biden arrived the country on Sunday ahead of a NATO summit in Lithuania later this week, which comes after several allies questioned his call to send cluster bombs to Ukraine. The United Kingdom and Canada are among those who voiced concern about supplying the bombs, which are widely banned because of the danger they pose to civilians. On Monday, Biden will meet Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and will also meet King Charles for the first time since he was crowned king. In Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was chosen to lead the Economic Community of West African States as its next chairman on Sunday. The selection was made in Bissau, the country's capital, at the group's 63rd ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community, succeeding President Umaru Yar'Adua of Guinea-Bissau, who became ECOWAS chairman on the 4th of July 2022 at the 61st Summit in Accra.
We must bite back. We can't sit like toothless bulldog in ECOWAS. For the confidence reposed in me, I pledge to you, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that I will do my best. I am just new. This is my first. I'm giving a surprise package. I am with you. In Nigeria, we are back.
Under sports, Formula One world champion Max Verstappen cruised to victory in the British Grand Prix on Sunday for his 6th win in a row and a record-equaling 11th consecutive triumph for Red Bull. It is Verstappen's 8th win in 10 races this year. The victory puts the 25-year-old champion's lead over teammate Sergio Perez at 99 points and extends a run of Red Bull wins that dates back to last season's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Under entertainment in the Netherlands, Ricky Valieri-Coley made history over the weekend by becoming the first ever transgender to be crowned Miss Netherlands. The 22-year-old Dutch Moluccan model will represent the Netherlands at the 72nd Miss Universe in El Salvador, where she will make her mark as the second transgender person to have participated in the prestigious Miss Universe pageant. Before her was Spain's Angela Pons, who made history in 2018. Then, another history-making moment. Grammy Award-winning Afrofusion star Burna Boy over the weekend became the first African artist to sell out and headline a stadium concert in the United States. The 32-year-old star sold out the 41,000-capacity Citi Field Stadium in New York, delivering an amazing performance. Burna Boy performed some of his hit songs, including Last Last and Yay, and unveiled Big 7, his forthcoming single, as he electrified the crowd.
Another history-making moment for Burna Boy. Congratulations. Well, let's begin what's trending, with reactions trailing an order by the Federal High Court in Abuja requesting the federal government to account for the $5 billion Abacha loot and for the details of the spending to be made public in a judgment delivered on July 3rd in a case filed by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. The presiding judge, James Omotosho, ordered President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to disclose the exact amount of money stolen by General Sani Abacha from Nigeria, the total amount recovered, and all agreements signed by the governments of former presidents Olusegun Obasanjo, Umaru Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and Muhammadu Buhari. The judge also ordered the government to disclose the details of the projects executed with the Abacha loot, locations of any such projects, and the names of companies and contractors that carried out the projects since the return of democracy in 1999 till date, as well as the specific roles played by the World Bank and other partners in the execution of any projects funded with the Abacha loot. Well, let's take some reactions, Dr. Abati, before we discuss. This is from Arinze, who wrote, "How did $5 billion leave Nigeria? Where did the funds come from? Which federal government account? How was it taken abroad? Where was it placed?" Then we can begin to discuss how it came back and so on. I guess he posed a lot of questions there. This is from Dr. Bature. He wrote, "This is a win for Nigeria at large. Courtesy Serap Nigeria, the $5 billion truly needs to be accounted for. What are the projects executed with the recovered loot? We didn't feel the positive impact of the recovered loot. I hope there will be full compliance with the judgment. It is our money." Dr. Abati, it is our money. I know you always use that. I mean, Nigerians are saying it is our money. But again, it is a big win for Serap. You know that Serap has been doing the Lord's work in, filing these cases. And this is a new administration. And I'm hoping that they will do right by this judgment. That is actually the question. What's going to happen? This judgment, they're saying that it should comply within 7 days. What's going to happen if there's no compliance?
Number one, yes, I agree with you absolutely. That is a big win for SERAP, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, a civil society group, a non-governmental organization that has been very active, that has been in the forefront of raising questions about the economy, about accountability, and using the Freedom of Information Act majorly as a tool of engaging the Nigerian state. Now, the major issue here is about the right of the citizen to know.
Yes.
Because we have the right to know. So when you say it is our money, what you are saying also is that the people who are the owners of the money have the right to know how that money was spent. That's number one. Number two, it's also a reminder of the kind of corruption that went on under General Sani Abacha. As the Nigerian government, one after the other, got money either from Switzerland or the Cayman Islands or from New Jersey, Abacha got a new title as the ancestor that is always given from the grave, because it looks like there was no end, to the amount of money that had been stashed away, which is also why in many of these African countries, and also at the level of the AU, this illicit theft, illicit transfer of national treasure to banks overseas, to safe havens, has been a major problem. Now, let me go back to the point about how it's a triumph for SERAP in terms of using the Freedom of Information Act. Justice James Omotosho based the ruling on Section 7 of the Freedom of Information Act. Section 7 of the Freedom of Information Act simply says that, look, if a public institution is going to deny access to information that is being requested, now you must state reasons why you are not granting that access. And you must communicate same to the body or group that is asking for that information, the applicant, seeking access to that particular information. If you do not do so, you are liable under that Section 7 of the Freedom of Information Act to a fine of 500,000 naira, and the applicant can seek redress in court. So what SERAP has done is to go to court. And the court has now ruled that the Ministry of Finance cannot avail itself of the provisions of Section 7 of the Freedom of Information Act. So it's simply, a matter of law. And the expectation is that the Ministry of Finance must respect the ruling of the court. Okay, it has the option of going on appeal, but the ruling of the Court of Justice Omotosho for now is that within 7 days, it must comply. What the court has done is to stress accountability, is to hold the Ministry of Finance down to the people's right to know how their money was spent. It was looted, it was returned, how was it spent? I think, the ruling is very straightforward, and it is, it is something that will gladden the hearts of many people who have been seeking enforcement of freedom of information. And many people must be alarmed that the Federal Ministry of Finance will say it has no records.
This is my question.
No, how can the Ministry of Finance of Nigeria not have records?
Yes, this is it.
This is the bigger question.
How did that happen, Rufai? I mean, you talked about some of the loot that have been returned, I believe one from Jersey, and then I think that they had shared that money in that social register. I don't know if you recall that. I think that was 2 years ago.
I mean, the loan was done with the money.
With that money. But this is the first time that we are seeing that it's $5 billion that aggregate, because, there was a lot of discrepancy whether it was $3 billion or whether...
Yeah,
I mean, it's good that we are seeing this now.
I mean, so Serap says $5 billion. God knows it could be more.
Yeah.
Because what we know was that the monies they started returning from the early 1999 to 2000. Swiss government returned a couple, 750 million, in trickles. I think there was an infographic by the BBC a couple of years ago that says 3.25 billion. We don't know how much exactly is the money. I remember the case you were talking about, Malami, the last tranche of return, they said the government was going to be put into some highway, I think Abuja, Kano highway, and the condition and all of that, which a lot of people kicked against, but they said those were the conditions. And I think the Attorney General there, Malami, defended it, and we had all of this go on for a while. The question is, we deceive ourselves too much in this country. Because you ask a question, how did the money go out? The bag men that helped him carry that money out, they're still around in Nigeria today. They're living a good life, and life has moved on. We all know what happens in this country. So people are not corrupt alone. They do it with other bag men and help them bag the money out, and they're free people today. And the truth has to be said. If we truly want to build this country, let us have a country that has a lot of integrity. We can laugh about it and say, oh, Abacha now is our ancestor sending us money. But this is the money they ought to use to build schools and do infrastructure for people. Some of these monies were carried in cash out of this country.
So sad.
We all remember. And this was a man. Abacha got in 1993 after he removed the National Corps from Fidihe, and he died on the 8th of June 1998. In 5 years, he bled the country dry. Do you know how many more people are bleeding the country with their bag men? Is this one? Maybe it's because of the magnanimity of the foreign nations that say, oh, come and see, you have money here. What if we never got? Do you know how many? The chance. And we're saying Nigeria is broke, is poor. Because people are fleecing the country dry every day. People and their bagmen that are still around are moving everywhere. Wasn't the foreign leader that once said, when we're asking for debt relief, and the foreign leader said, if you check the bank accounts of Nigerians abroad, you would not even want to forgive Nigeria's debts. And the money was put in every part, Switzerland, Jersey, and all of that. But their accomplices are around, and we move on, and we celebrate them in society. You see, this country is a country that we've built in such a way that only favors those that are on the top, and those below can go and die. But except we change our status quo, nothing will change.
Yes.
So for your question that you asked, how did the money move around? The bag men are still very much around, and life has moved on from there. Yes. Well, and I'm also happy, Serap is, as Dr. Bati said, asking for FY to be able to get all the details of this and all of that. But the sad reality is, as we speak, maybe in the future, when we get to look back, a lot of something is still happening. It's Nigeria. It's the corruption. The day we change that mentality and use the money for the citizen, Nigeria will be better. Yes. We can actually build a great country.
Yes,
but we see what happens because of corruption.
You talked about integrity in leadership. We're hoping that this new administration will be able to account for those funds. Well, let's take another story. The Department of State Services on Sunday dismissed reports claiming that Abdulaziz Yari, senator representing Zamfara West, was invited by the secret police over alleged refusal to respond to telephone calls from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The spokesperson for the DSS, Peter Afunaya, in a statement said that Yari knows why he was invited by the secret police, adding that the online report about the former governor's arrest is laughable and petty. The report had alleged that Yari was arrested and detained by the DSS over claims that he shunned Tinubu's telephone calls in June. The telephone call was said to have been made to pressure the former Zamfara governor to drop his ambition to become Nigeria's Senate president. The DSS also denied reports that its operatives carted away all incriminating files relating to Tinubu and his close aides from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and Code of Conduct Bureau. I mean, when we see these types of stories circulating on social media, the first thing I thought was, can the president be that petty to, have the DSS invite the Zamfara governor over a telephone call? What are your thoughts on this, Dr. Abati?
Well, I think it's fairly straightforward. Yeah. Dr. Peter Afunaya, the spokesperson of the Department of State Services, has already put out an explanation here. And the word of caution here is that, people should just be careful how they take stories on the surface value. In fact, what you left out, he said those reports that he referred to, will seem to fit the description of junk journalism. He said it's junk journalism, fake news, as he otherwise labeled it. So it's just for people to be cautious. Because after a fashion in this country, if there is any speculation about any public official, people just begin to crucify the person. Yeah. They begin trial by media. All kinds of names have been mentioned in some of the reports that are out there, But the DSS, clearly, doesn't feel that it's under any obligation at this stage, to tell anybody this is why we invited. And that was why Dr. Afunaya said, Governor Yari, former Governor Yari, now Senator Yari, knows why he was invited. The basic principle of it is that when a man is no longer governor, Section 308 of the Constitution, which grants immunity to about 74 categories of elected officials, from the president to the VP to governors and the deputy governors, no longer applies. And so, that immunity means you can be invited. Even while you are in office, you can be investigated. And nobody, the principle is nobody is above the law, whether a former governor or a senator, a serving senator of the Federal Republic. Yeah. The details, if they have anything, will come into the public domain. Yes. But people should refrain from character assassination, from speculation. Well, I don't want to use the word that Dr. Afunaya used about junk journalism, because we do professional work here, Yes.
Yeah, but the question is still out there. A lot of people are asking, why was Yari invited at this point?
So let's chart an empirical course, Oji. 29 May 2022, EFCC arrests ex-Zamfara Governor Yari over 84 billion accountant general fraud. The pending case. 5th June 2023, court stops EFCC, ICPC, DSS from detaining ex-Governor Yari. Empirical trail. You should know that Yari, obviously before now, had a debacle with the authorities as regards corruption and other cases. All right? And the authorities taking action as regards this. Check an empirical trail. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely.
Let's deal with facts.
All right. Well, that's why the DSS says that Yari knows exactly why he was invited.
Hitherto, Yari had run-ins with the law. Right. And I remember we even stated this while he was running to be Senate president, that hitherto you have back and forth with the law. It's as simple as that.
All right, then. We shall take our final story. The Oba of Lagos, Oba Rilwan Akiolu, has waded into the controversy surrounding the movie Gangs of Lagos, which depicted the Ayo, a group of masquerades that celebrates the life of an Oba, as criminal gangs that commit grotesque murder and terrorize innocent citizens in Lagos. The Oba, in a 3-page letter addressed to the management of Amazon Prime Nigeria and Greol Limited, demanded that the producers of the movie submit within 14 days a draft of an appropriately worded apology to him and the indigenous people of Lagos, noting that the depiction of the Ayo in the film is defamatory and sacrilegious. The Oba went further to list 4 conditions that the producers and promoters should meet within the stipulated time, including a proposal for consideration for the restitution of the sanctity of the Ayo brand and compensatory proposal for the infringement of the indigenous people's intellectual property rights, which has since been exploited commercially without license. Gangs of Lagos, since its release, has been a subject of controversies among the indigenous people of Lagos, with the Isaleko Descendants Union instituting a suit seeking 10 billion naira damages against Amazon and other producers over what they describe as a huge reputational damage that the film inflicted on the Ayo brand. Dr. Bati, I'm coming over to you. I have a lot to say with this story, but I'd love to hear from you. I mean, I did interview a person from that union at a point that instituted that 10 billion naira fine on the film. But then, you know, where do we draw the line? That was my question, between fiction and, you know, reality at this point.
Okay, quite a number of issues involved there. The first one, principal one, is that the matter is already in court. Mm-hmm. The Isaleko Descendants Union, they've instituted a suit against the producers of the film. So it will be for one of the issues for the court to determine will be whether indeed the material is defamatory per se, or, you know, or libelous, and whether in fact the people of Lagos State or the Oba of Lagos, who has the final authority or the Adimula tradition represented by the Ayo mask, whether in fact he has that authority under, you know, intellectual property rights or under the United Nations, you know, convention that he quoted on the rights of indigenous people with regard to their culture. So those are issues to be determined by the court. One other issue that the court should determine, that the court is likely to inquire into, is whether the Oba of Lagos has the authority under the law to ban a movie, okay? Because Nigeria has a body called the Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board. That is the legal body that has the authority to take a decision on films and videos, and the rules are there in the books. The NFVCB, they did approve the release of Gangs of Lagos. And then, of course, there will be other issues about what the Oba of Lagos now is demanding. So now that the matter is in court, it will have been nice to allow the court to take a look at all these issues, from defamation to intellectual property rights to copyright to, you know, artistic freedom, which is also a major issue under copyright laws. Okay. At what point do you say an artist cannot represent? After all, art is exaggerated reality.
Absolutely.
That's what we teach our students. You know, you take a fraction of reality, you blow it up. And the artist has the freedom, right, to use his imagination. It's a work of imagination. But let's leave all those theoretical things. The Oba of Lagos as a custodian of culture for the people of Lagos, and the Isaleko Descendants Union, they are saying, don't present our culture in a negative way. The Oba is asking for apology within 7 days. The Oba is asking for a compensatory proposal, you know, compensation. He's also saying that all sections relating to the Ayo in the Gangs of Lagos should be removed. Well, I think the matter can also be settled out of court, although the normal thing will have been for the court to pronounce on these issues.
Absolutely.
In my view.
So the court, the Isaleko descendant had filed that suit before this 3-page letter from the Oba. So Rufai, really quickly, we only have about 30 seconds.
So I think part of also the suit, Dr. Abati, by extension, is also the determination of medium of expression. Because this is released on Amazon Prime. And when you were talking about Nigerian Films and Censors Board, Amazon Prime is all over the world. I mean, most countries of the world. So you're seeing it in other climates. So who takes regulatory oversight for releases on platforms like these, streaming platforms that are all over the world?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's
Well, all
why the
right.
court is there.
Well, all right. We'd like to
Thank
thank you both for your great analysis on what's trending today. Well, that's all I have for you on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.